Okay, today we're just going to kind of do a little review of what we did yesterday, what we learned new yesterday, plus what we learned before we went on break, because I know that's been a long time. So we've got notes number 5C, converting y equals mx plus b and ax plus by equals c. Now, so we're going from slope-intercept to standard, and we're also going to do standard to slope-intercept. So the first one, we're doing standard form equations to slope-intercept. I always do this just to remind myself. Standard is ax plus by equals c, okay? Remember that a has to be positive, a is a coefficient of x, and it has to be a whole number. All a, b, and c have to be whole numbers, but a specifically has to be positive. So our first problem is negative 2x minus y is equal to negative 5. All right, so if we want to convert this to standard, what do we need to do? Oh, we're doing slope-intercept, I'm sorry. So we need a y equals mx plus b. So this is standard, and this is y slope-intercept form, I guess is what we're going to write it as. We'll say slope-intercept form. And you need to know the difference between these. Y equals mx plus b. That's the one you're used to. So I have to have y is positive here, correct? So all I need to do is add 2x to both sides. Wipes that out. I've got a negative. I'm going to put a 1 in front of that y just so that I remember there is a 1 is equal to 2x minus 5. And all I need to do now is multiply everything by negative 1 or divide by negative 1, whatever you are more comfortable with. Negative times a negative, I get y equals negative times a positive gives me negative 2x. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. And there is my answer. Okay? So I probably will only do a few of these. I'm not sure that I am going to work every single one of them. Let's go to let's do number 4, okay? And if you have problems and you need me to do number 2 and number 3, come over and talk to me and we'll talk about them. All right, number 4, negative 2 times x plus 3y is equal to 18. Remember, we're going to y-intercept, slope-intercept form, okay? So first we're just going to distribute our multiplication. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6y is equal to 18. Okay, first starting point. Now we need slope-intercept, so we need our y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to get rid of this on this side, bring it over here. Okay, and I've got negative 6y is equal to 2x plus 18. Am I done? No, of course not. I've got to get y to be a 1y in this situation, and it must be positive. So I'm going to multiply everything times what? Well, let's not multiply. I could multiply by negative 1/6, or let's divide by negative 6. And that's up to you which way you go with that. You know, you're getting really comfortable with using the inverse, so if you want to use the reciprocal or the inverse fraction there, it's fine with me. So that ends up being positive. You end up with y is equal to negative, it's going to be 2 over 6. Well, we'll write it the right way, and then we'll simplify. And this is going to be, oops, that has an x, and 18, and divided by negative 6 is what? Hope you said negative 3. I still need to clean this up. 2 6 is really 1/3. If I didn't know that, I could do negative 2 divided by 6, math, enter, and find that out in my calculator. So y is equal to negative, see, look at what me, coming back from the break, making mistakes all over the place. X, and then this is just a cleanup, so we're not doing anything to this. All right, and there would be our answer. And we all know how to check those by now, okay? So let's go down to number 5, converting slope-intercept into standard form equations. All right, so here we go. Number 5. So we've got y is equal to 4x minus 2. All right, and I need it to look like ax plus by is equal to c. Okay? So I need to bring my x over. My x is negative 4x on this side, negative 4x on that side, and I'm going to end up with negative 4x plus, I'm going to write the 1y for now just so I remember it's there, is equal to negative 2 because these canceled each other out. And at this point, I need this to be positive. Remember, a has to be positive. A is the only one that has to be positive. So I'm going to multiply by a negative 1 to make it positive. Negative 1. Each term in the equation has to be multiplied by negative 1, and that gives me a positive 4x. A negative times a positive gives me a negative 1y is equal to a negative times a negative, which gives me a positive, and I am done. Okay. Let's see here. Number 6 is essentially just like that. And number 8 is pretty simple. You're just adding your y across instead of your x. On this one right here, you're just going to bring your y by bringing in a positive y. So let's look at number 7 because those are the ones that really get to you guys. Okay. Number 7. Y is equal to 2/3 x minus 25 over 3. I know, fractions, 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 but I love fractions. Fractions are your friends, people. Okay? All right, so I need my x on this side of my equation, so I'm going to subtract 2/3 x on this side, subtract 2/3 x on this side, and I end up with negative 2/3 x plus, I'm going to write my 1 in front of my y, is equal to negative 25 over 3 because this canceled each other out. So that's what I have left. All right, remember x has to be a whole number and it has to be positive. Not an integer, it has to be a whole number, which is a positive whole number. Okay, so like we did yesterday, if I multiplied this by negative 3 over 2, I'm going to end up getting a fraction here. And we can't have fractions in a standard form equation. So what I'm going to do instead is multiply it, and I'm going to get rid of the negative sign while I can, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 3 over 1. Okay? And I'm going to multiply this over negative 3 over 1. Remember, anything you do in an equation, as long as you do it to each term, you can manipulate it any way you want, and that's what's so wonderful about fractions. This side, negative 3 over 1. So now it's just about doing the math. Those of you who struggle with it, please put it in your calculator. Put those parentheses around that fraction, and do parentheses negative 3 divided by 1 parentheses times negative parentheses 2 divided by 3 parentheses. Believe me, you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache if you're willing to put it in that calculator and do it. I know this, simplify before I multiply. I've got a negative times a negative, so I'm going to end up with a positive. I got 3 goes into itself once, 3 goes into itself once, so that would all be 1s. And I got 1 times 2, which is going to give me 2x. Okay? Plus 1 times negative 3 is going to give me, oops, don't need a plus sign. I need a negative 3y is equal to, all right, here again, simplify before I multiply, get rid of my 3's. I've got a negative times a negative, so I'm going to end up with a positive number. Now I have 1's all over. I have 25 times 1, which is going to give me 25. And I'm done. It is that simple, people. It is not hard at all, okay? If I wanted to check it, I could always pull it right back to this form, okay? And that's what's so great about equations. All right, I want you to pause me. We're going to do one on your practice together. All righty. Let us look at number 1 on our practice, okay? On our practice, it says convert slope-intercept to standard form here, and you have 6 problems. And then it says convert standard to slope-intercept. So if you want, right on top of those, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. Standard is ax plus by is equal to c. If you get used to that, writing it, what you're looking for, it will be so much easier. So I'm going to do number 1, okay? And I am converting this to standard form. I need ax plus by equals c. And I have number 1 is y is equal to 1/10 x minus 3/5. Okay? All right, so here we go. I need to get my x's on this side to be in standard form, so subtract 1/10 x here, subtract 1/10 x on this side. And I have negative 1/10 x plus, I'm going to write that 1 in front of that y so I don't forget about it. This would cancel each other out, so I have an equal sign is equal to negative 3/5. Okay? Alrighty, so now I need to get this to be a whole number and be positive. So I'm going to multiply times negative 10/1. And remember, when I do that, I have to do it to each term. Negative 10/1, negative 10/1. Okay? So simplify before I multiply. I get 10 goes into itself once. 10 goes into itself once. 1 times 1, and they're negative. I'm going to end up with 1x. Okay? Now, if I didn't, I'd have 10/10. Same thing. Here, plus negative 10 times positive 1. Oops, I don't want a positive sign. I keep making that mistake today. Negative 10y is equal to, now, I'm going to do this over here to the side. I'm going to do negative 3/5 times negative 10/1, just to show you, okay? And I'm going to simplify before I multiply, because I know that this can't do anything there, but 5 goes into itself once. 5 goes into 10 2 times. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6/1, isn't it? So my answer is going, because right here I'd have 6/1, so here I have 6. All right, I think I've got it. I know I'm right. But you know, sometimes I make mistakes with my math. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a check. Okay? And this is how I'm going to check. If I have this, and I have 1x minus 10y is equal to 6. Okay? I'm going to try and get it back to this form over here and see if I end up with the same answer. So here, I'm going to do subtract 1x, subtract 1x. I get negative 10y is equal to negative 1x plus 6. Okay? Remember, my y has to be positive, and I only want one y, so I am going to divide by negative 10. I could have multiplied by the inverse, which would have been what? Hopefully you said 1/10. And I'm going to divide this by negative 10, divide this by negative 10, and I end up with a positive y is equal to negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive 1/10x, and 6, negative 6/10. Well, I know 2 will go into 6 3 times, and 2 will go into 10 5 times, so I would end up with 3/5. And if you notice, this answer is the same as this answer. This is the answer I'm going to put on my paper. All right? And that's all I'm going to go over for today. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you. Have a great day.